Akinmade's phone rang sharply as he stepped out of a meeting. Seeing Yemisi's name, he picked up instantly. "Mom," he said, already sensing something was wrong. Her voice trembled. "Akinmade, it's Temilad. She's been taken." He froze. "Taken? What do you mean?" "She didn't come home. Her bag and phone were still at the shop. Someone said they saw her being forced into a van." Akinmade's jaw clenched, his eyes darkening with rage. "I'll find her. I swear it." Without another word, he hung up and shifted into action, his instincts already leading him toward the hunt. Akinmade stormed out of the building, his voice firm and commanding as he called his most trusted guards. "Temilad has been kidnapped," he announced. "Fan out across the city, no one rests until she's found." The men nodded without hesitation. "Check every camera, every exit route, every face. I want her back safe now." With a growl beneath his breath, Akinmade shifted into his alpha mindset. Whoever took her would soon regret it. In the dim corner of an uncompleted building on the city's outskirts, Temilad sat on the cold concrete floor, her hands bound and her face tied with a cloth that muffled her breathing. Footsteps echoed as the men paced around her, whispering and arguing in low tones. "She doesn't even know who we are," one of them muttered. "That's the point," another replied. "She's just bait for Akinmade." Temilad's heart pounded. She couldn't see them, but she felt their presence, 3 of them, maybe more. She didn't understand why this was happening, but fear settled heavy in her chest. At Akinmade's house, the tension was thick. Bisola barged in, fury written all over her face. Her eyes were sharp, lips trembling as she dropped the threat like a blade. "If you don't marry me, Akinmade, I swear Temilad won't make it out alive," she hissed. "You have until tonight." Lara, shocked and trembling, moved toward her. "Bisola, please," she pleaded, "this isn't you. Don't drag more people into your pain. You're better than this." But Bisola only laughed bitterly. "Better? You all watched him humiliate me. Now, he'll pay." Akinmade stepped forward, eyes locked on hers. "I don't care what you do anymore, Bisola," he said coldly. "You lost me the moment you chose lies and betrayal. Temilad means everything to me now." Bisola's rage flickered into something else, hurt, confusion, but it lasted only a moment before she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The room fell silent, Lara looking at her son with worried eyes. Bisola drove through the quiet afternoon traffic, her sunglasses hiding the rage burning in her eyes. Her hands tightened around the steering wheel as she played Akinmade's rejection over and over in her mind. Her phone rang. She tapped the answer button on her dashboard. "Madam, we day outside with her. What and make we do?" She didn't hesitate. "Finish it. Make sure she doesn't breathe again." She ended the call, her jaw clenched. The sun blazed above, but Bisola felt nothing but ice in her chest. "Let's see how he lives without her," she muttered, speeding up. The rough hands of the men gripped Temilad tightly as they dragged her across the gravel-strewn ground, ignoring her muffled cries. Her heart pounded in terror as the sound of distant train horns echoed faintly in the afternoon air. They reached the railway line, and without a word, forced her down, laying her flat against the hot steel. Her wrists and ankles were tied cruelly with thick rope, securing her to the tracks. One of the men yanked the mask from her face, revealing her tear-streaked cheeks and wide, terrified eyes. But the tape over her mouth remained, silencing her screams. The men stood over her for a brief moment, emotionless. "Nah, here you go," and one muttered. And then, they walked away, disappearing into the trees, leaving Temilad helpless under the blazing sun, and the haunting sound of the oncoming train in the far distance. Temilad squirmed desperately against the ropes, her body trembling with panic. She managed to inch slightly, but the bindings were too tight. The rumble of the approaching train grew louder, closer. Her eyes widened in terror as she saw the blur of metal speeding down the tracks toward her. Tears streamed down her face as she screamed into the tape, her mind reaching out in pure desperation. "Oh God, please, help me! Akinmade, I need you. I need you now, Akinmade." She called his name in her heart again and again, clinging to hope, praying with every breath. Miles away, Akinmade froze in place, his eyes glowing faintly. He felt it. A sharp pull through the bond, her fear slicing into his soul like a blade. His werewolf senses locked onto her energy. Without a second thought, he transformed, his body shifting with speed and grace. In a blur, he soared through the trees, his heart racing as fast as his feet. Just as the train's horn roared its final warning, Akinmade burst onto the tracks. With a surge of power, he yanked Temilade from the rails, holding her close as they vanished into the forest. Just a heartbeat before the train thundered past. She gasped for air, sobbing into his chest. He held her tightly. "I've got you," he whispered. "You're safe now." Temilade lay in the large bed, wrapped in soft sheets, but still trembling from the horror she had just survived. Her eyes were wide and distant, heart pounding like it hadn't stopped racing since the railway line. Lara sat beside her for a moment longer, brushing her hair gently. "I'll give you to some time," Lara said softly before slipping out of the room. Akinmade walked in quietly, his face full of worrying and love. He moved to the bed, sat beside Temilade, and took her hand in his. Gently, he brushed his fingers over her cheek, wiping away the tears still clinging to her lash. "You're safe now," he whispered, his voice low and soothing. "I'm here." Temilade turned to him slowly, her body still stiff, but her eyes locking onto his like she was trying to convince herself he was real. "I thought I was going to die," she murmured. He pulled her into his arms, wrapping her tightly. "I would never let that happen. Not to you." For a while, they just stayed that way, no words, just shared silence, the beating of their hearts the only sound between them. Akinmade ran his fingers through her hair slowly, grounding her. "I've called Mom and Remilcan," he whispered against her hair. "They're coming to sit with you, to help you feel safe again." Temilade nodded slowly against his chest. "But I'm not going anywhere," he added. "Not now. Not ever." She looked up at him, her lips trembling but a small, fragile smile forming. In that moment, wrapped in his arms, she felt something stronger than fear. She felt love. The boutique buzzed softly with music as Temilade stepped inside, flanked by Remilcan and Ireti. Rows of elegant gowns shimmered under warm lights, each promising magic. "Next month is about you," Remilcan beamed, linking her arm with Temilade's. "So don't hold back." Temilade smiled, her heart fluttering with a mix of excitement and nerves. Ireti was already sifting through dresses, her eyes scanning with practiced speed. Classic lace or bold and regal? Ireti called out, holding two gowns. Temilade laughed, something in between. They spent the next hour in laughter, fittings, and playful debates. As Temilade twirled in a soft ivory gown, Remilcan and Ireti exchanged proud smiles. "You're glowing," Ireti said. Temilade caught her reflection, and for the first time in a while, she allowed herself to believe in her happy ending. In the dimly lit sitting room, Busola sat across from her parents, tension thick in the air. Chief Banjo leaned forward, hands clasped tightly. "The wedding is in a few weeks," he said, his voice low but firm. "If it happens, everything we've worked for will slip away." Bisola's mother nodded, her gaze sharp. "We cannot let that girl marry Akinmade. This union threatens everything, our influence, our legacy." Bisola's eyes burned with quiet anger. "Then we stop it, whatever it takes." The room fell into silence, a silent agreement forming between them. The wedding would not happen, not if the Banjo family had a say in it. As Akinmade and Temilade stood before the altar, ready to exchange vows, a sudden tension gripped the air. Just then, the doors burst open with a loud crash, and Bisola stormed into the hall, her eyes blazing with anger. "Akinmade!" Bisola's voice rang out, her tone full of desperation. "You can't marry her. You and I, we're supposed to be together. I'm your mate, you're Luna." The crowd fell silent, everyone watching as Akinmade's calm demeanor remained unchanged. His gaze, however, was colder than ever as he locked eyes with Bisola. "Bisola," Akinmade said, his voice steady but firm. "You lost that right the moment you broke our bond with your lies. Temilade is the one I choose." His words sent a shockwave through the room, and Bisola's face twisted in disbelief. "No, Akinmade, you're making a mistake," she cried. "You can't just throw me away like this." Akinmade didn't flinch. He turned to the guards, who immediately stepped forward to escort Bisola out. "Leave, Bisola. You have no place here anymore." Bisola tried to resist, but the guards gently but firmly ushered her out of the room, her protests growing fainter as she was taken away. The tension in the air lifted, and Akinmade turned back to Temilade, his eyes softening. Temilade stood frozen, trying to make sense of the confrontation. Her brow furrowed as she glanced up at Akinmade, the weight of what had just happened sinking in. "Akinmade, what's all this about? What is a mate? What is a Luna?" Akinmade smiled gently, sensing her confusion. He took her hands in his voice soothing. "It's a tradition, Temelad," he said, carefully choosing his words. "It's complicated, but don't worry about it. All you need to know is that I've chosen you, and nothing else matters." Temelad looked up at him, a mix of relief and lingering confusion in her eyes, but she nodded. "Okay, I trust you." Akinmade leaned in slightly, his voice soft. "You are everything to me, Temelad, and I promise, no matter what, I'll protect you." As they stood together, ready to start their new life, the crowd erupted into applause, signaling the end of the drama and the beginning of their journey together. Bisola sat on the couch, fuming with anger, her hands tightly gripping the fabric. The wedding had been a complete disaster, and now she found herself at Ola's house, seeking solace and guidance. "Ola, you saw what happened. He chose her." Bisola's voice trembled with frustration. "Akinmade rejected me in front of everyone, and now he's marrying that human. How could he do this to me, to us?" Ola, sitting across from her with a calm demeanor, sighed deeply. His expression was one of both concern and determination. "Bisola, I know this hurts, but you've got to control your emotions. Getting angry won't change anything. Akinmade is stubborn, but we can still find a way to make him pay." She looked at him, her eyes narrowed, as if seeking reassurance. "What do you suggest? What can we do now?" Ola leaned forward, his voice low and steady. "We'll make sure that Temelad's place in Akinmade's life isn't as solid as you think. We have the means to undermine him, and if necessary, we'll make her regret this union." Bisola's eyes gleamed with renewed resolve. "You promise you'll help me, Ola?" "Of course," he said, his voice firm with confidence. "We'll make sure Akinmade knows that no one can just cast aside the Banjo name. He made a mistake, and we will make him pay. You'll get what's yours, I promise." Bisola's anger began to subside, replaced by the cunning glint that had always defined her. "Then let's get started, Ola. I won't rest until I get what's rightfully mine." Ola smirked, pleased by her determination. "Good. We'll make sure Akinmade regrets ever turning his back on you." Together, they sat in silence, plotting their next move, knowing that the battle for Akinmade and his family was far from over. After the ceremony, as the guests slowly filtered out, Lara found Temelad standing alone by the garden, looking lost in the whirlwind of emotions. The wedding had been a mix of joy and tension, but now it was just the two of them. Lara approached her, her expression softening with maternal warmth. "Temelad," Lara began gently, her voice full of emotion. "Please, protect him. You're not just his wife, you're the Luna now." Temelad blinked, not quite understanding the weight of the words. She had heard the term before but never really grasped its meaning. She smiled, thinking it was just a compliment, something to make her feel special in this new chapter of her life. "Thank you, Mommy. I'll always be there for him." Temelad replied with a bright smile, her eyes sparkling with happiness. "I'll do everything I can to make him happy." Lara's heart warmed as she watched Temelad, sensing the genuine affection and care in her. For a moment, she considered explaining the full depth of what she meant, but she decided against it. Temelad would learn soon enough. "Good," Lara whispered, her eyes soft with a mix of pride and concern. She stepped closer to Temelad, giving her a gentle hug. "You're part of the family now, Temelad. Remember, he's everything to us." Temelad returned the hug, her heart swelling with happiness. She didn't fully understand all the expectations yet, but in this moment, she felt nothing but love for Akinmade and gratitude for this new life she was about to embark on with him. Akinmade and Temelad walked hand in hand through the lush gardens surrounding the mansion, the evening breeze gently sweeping through the air. The peacefulness of the moment contrasted with the whirlwind of emotions from the past days. They smiled at each other, savoring the simplicity of the moment. Akinmade, looking at Temelad with affection, felt a deep sense of contentment. Despite all the turmoil and complications, he knew he had made the right choice. "This feels right," Akinmade said, his voice filled with quiet certainty. Temelad nodded, smiling warmly. "I never imagined this, but I'm happy we're here." As they continued their walk, Akinmade's thoughts lingered on everything that had led to this moment. The decisions, the sacrifices. But in Temelad, he felt peace. The bond they shared was more than just fate, it was a choice, and it was one he would never regret. For the first time, the future felt certain, and for Akinmade, that was enough. Basola, consumed by anger and jealousy, plotted her next move. She couldn't bear the thought of Akinmade's love for a human, especially someone as innocent as Tamalod. Determined to break them apart, she carefully planned an accident to take Tamalod's life. Basola instructed a few of her loyal associates to create an opportunity, an accident that would seem like an unfortunate twist of fate. She knew Tamalod's routine, where she would be traveling after her evening outing, and took full advantage of it. As Tamalod's car approached a quiet, desolate road, another car, driven by Basola's accomplices, swerved into her path. The headlights blinded Tamalod, and she swerved to avoid the collision, sending her car careening off the road. The car crashed violently into a nearby tree, the impact leaving Tamalod unconscious and trapped inside. Basola, from a distance, watched the scene unfold, her heart racing with both anticipation and fear. The plan was set in motion. All that was left was for Tamalod to be out of the picture forever. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Akinmade sat in his study, immersed in his thoughts when an unsettling feeling suddenly surged through him. A sharp, gnawing sensation tugged at his senses, as if something was terribly wrong. His heart raced as he tried to pinpoint the source of his unease. Then it hit him: Tamalod. Without wasting a second, he sprang to his feet, his instincts kicking in. He rushed out of the room, his mind focused solely on her. His connection to her had grown stronger since their bond, and in that moment, he felt her distress as if it were his own. Akinmade dashed through the mansion, moving with the speed and precision of a wolf in his prime. He didn't need to think. His body knew where he needed to go. He reached the driveway, his car already waiting for him, the engine roaring to life as he sped toward the road he knew she was on. As he neared the spot, his keen senses picked up the wreckage ahead. His pulse quickened as he saw Tamalod's car, crumpled and damaged, off the side of the road. The familiar scent of her blood reached him, sharp and metallic in the night air. Without a second thought, he leapt from the car, his body already shifting into his werewolf form, faster and stronger than any human could be. He reached the car in seconds, tearing open the door with ease. Inside, Tamalod lay unconscious, blood trickling from a wound on her forehead. He pulled her into his arms, his heart pounding with fear. He could feel the life force fading from her, but he wouldn't let her go. Not now, not ever. Akinmade's eyes glowed as he focused on healing her. He let his wolf power surge through his hands, flooding her body with energy, mending her wounds. Slowly, her breathing steadied, and her skin warmed beneath his touch. Akinmade's grip tightened around her, holding her close. He breathed a sigh of relief as she began to stir, her eyes fluttering open. Tamalod. His voice was soft, full of emotion. "You're safe now." She blinked, confused and disoriented, but alive. She didn't fully understand what had happened, but she could feel the powerful connection between them in that moment. Akinmade kissed her forehead, whispering a vow to protect her with everything he had. She had no idea how close she had come to losing everything, but he had saved her just in time. Akinmade stood in the living room. His family gathered around him, tension thick in the air. Tamalod had been settled into a safe room. Her injuries healed thanks to his quick intervention, but the uncertainty lingered. Wool, Akinmade's younger brother, paced back and forth, his face tight with suspicion. "It doesn't sit right with me," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "The accident. It feels too orchestrated." Akinmade, still visibly tense from the earlier events, his sharp gaze fixed on Wool. "What are you suggesting?" he asked quietly, his voice calm but filled with an edge of anger. Wool stopped pacing and met his brother's gaze. "It could be Basola's doing. We know she hasn't taken kindly to your rejection, and she's desperate. But I can't say for sure. We don't have any proof." Iredi frowned. "It wouldn't surprise me if Basola was behind it, but we can't jump to conclusions. We need more than a gut feeling." "She's dangerous," Akinmade said, his eyes narrowing as the weight of the situation hit him. "I know she's capable of many things, but I won't assume anything until we have solid evidence. If this is truly her doing." He trailed off, letting the threat hang in the air. Lara, who had been silent until now, finally spoke, her voice soft but firm. "Akinmade, you're right. We can't let her cause any more harm. But you must be careful. Tamalod is already caught in the middle of this mess. If Bisola truly did this, then she's playing a much bigger game than we thought. Akinmade nodded, his expression hardening. I'll take care of Temelad. No one will hurt her again. But we need to be vigilant. We'll start looking into any connections we can trace back to Bisola or her family. Wool nodded, though his face was still filled with doubt. I'll start, but we need to be sure before we confront her. Bisola is clever. She won't make it easy. Akinmade responded, his posture exuding authority and determination. If it is her, we'll make sure she regrets it. No one messes with my family or my mate, not anymore. Akinmade didn't give up. He searched the mansion, his heart pounding in his chest as he desperately called her name. He knew she was scared, but he couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Not after everything they had shared. Finally, he found her outside, sitting on the stone steps by the garden, her head buried in her hands as she shared. Temelad looked up as Akinmade approached, her eyes red from crying. She hadn't run far, but it felt like she was miles away. Temelad, Akinmade said softly, kneeling in front of her. Please, let me explain. I know this is a lot, but you need to understand this bond we share. It's real. It's not just some curse or magic. It's who we are. It's who I am. Temelad wiped her eyes, her voice shaky. I don't know what to think anymore. I thought I knew you, Akinmade, but now everything feels like a lie. Akinmade gently took her hands in his voice full of raw emotion. I never wanted to scare you. I never wanted to hurt you. But I can't lose you. Please, don't run from me. Her breath hitched, her mind racing as she processed everything he had said. She wasn't sure how to feel, but she couldn't deny the pull she still felt toward him. The bond that seemed to have always existed between them, even before she knew the truth. I don't know what this means, she whispered, her eyes searching his face. I don't know how to handle this. Akinmade leaned in closer, his voice gentle. You don't have to handle it alone. I'll be here. I'll protect you. Just please, don't leave me. We can figure this out together. Temelad looked at him for a long moment, her fear slowly melting away as she realized he wasn't asking her to accept everything all at once. He just wanted her to stay, to be by his side. I won't leave you, she said, her voice firm but soft. But we have to keep this a secret. From my mother, from Rimalkan, from everyone. They won't understand. I can't risk them finding out about this. About you. Akinmade's heart swelled with relief as he nodded. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe, Temelad. We'll keep this between us. No one has to know. She smiled weakly, her tears now a quiet memory. Okay, I'll stay. I'll keep your secret. Akinmade leaned forward, brushing a tear from her cheek. Thank you, he whispered. I'll never let you go. Temelad nodded, and for the first time in what felt like forever, she didn't feel so alone. They had a secret now, a bond that was stronger than anything else in the world. And with that, she knew they could face whatever came next together. Later that evening, Lara sat with Temelad in Lara's room. We need to talk, Lara began, her voice gentle. You're not just Akinmade's wife anymore. You're his Luna. Temelad frowned, confused. Luna, what does that mean? Lara smiled softly. The Luna is the Alpha's mate. She stands by him, strengthens the pack. You're the heart of it now. Tamalot shook her head. But I'm human. I don't understand any of this. Lara squeezed her hand. It's okay. It's not about knowing everything right now. It's about trust and love. You'll learn. And Akinmade will always be there to guide you. Tamalot looked down, then met Lara's eyes. What if I can't handle it? What if I'm not enough? You'll be enough. Together, you'll be stronger, Lara assured her. Tamalot took a deep breath. I'll try. I'll try to be what he needs me to be. Lara smiled, giving her a warm hug. That's all you can do. Just be his Luna. Yemisi and Rimalkin arrived at the mansion, impressed by its grandeur. Tamalot greeted them warmly, her excitement mixed with nervousness. This place is amazing, Tamalot, Yemisi exclaimed, taking in the luxurious surroundings. It's like a fairy tale. Rimalkin smiled softly. How are you really doing, Tammy? How's everything with Akinmade? Tamalot led them to the living room, her heart full of gratitude. It's a lot to adjust to, but Akinmade, he's been amazing. He makes everything feel right. Yemisi raised an eyebrow. It's not just the mansion, is it? You're talking about him. Tamalot blushed slightly. Yes, Akinmade makes me feel safe, loved, understood. Rimalkin smiled. I can see that. You've been glowing. Yemisi teased. Just don't forget us little people when you're living in this palace. Tamalot laughed. Of course not. You're always welcome here. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, but Tamalot felt content, knowing that with Akinmade by her side, she could face anything. Akinmade and Tamalot entered the grand ballroom, dressed in elegance and grace. The night was buzzing with chatter, laughter, and flashes of camera lights in honor of a powerful political figure. Tamalot looked stunning, her gown flowing like silk in motion, and Akinmade stood confidently by her side. For the first time in weeks, it felt like peace was possible. But it didn't last. From the far end of the room, Usola stepped in, masked by glamour but with a familiar venom in her smile. Flanking her were Ola and several members of the Martins clan. Eyes locked on Akinmade and Tamalot. The mood shifted instantly, the tension slicing through the ballroom like a blade. Akinmade stiffened. Tamalot noticed. What is it? She whispered. Before he could reply, Isola's voice rang out, cold and sharp. This ends tonight, Akinmade. You should have chosen better. Then chaos erupted. The Martins clan attacked. Akinmade shoved Tamalot behind him, his eyes glowing, every muscle tensed. He met the attackers head-on, moving with lightning speed. Blows landed. Bodies crashed. He was a force of fury and control. Ola lunged. Akinmade ducked and slammed him into a pillar. Isola went for Tamalot. Akinmade blocked her strike, eyes burning with rage. You won't touch her, he growled. In one final surge, he knocked both Bisola and Ola to the ground. The remaining Martins clan members hesitated, stunned by the defeat of their leaders. Leave. Now, Akinmade commanded, voice like thunder. They fled. The ballroom was left in silence. Tamalot, breath shaky, stared at him. That was dangerous, he finished, turning to her. But you're safe now. She nodded, clutching his hand. We'll face whatever comes next. Together. Akinmade held her close, voice firm. Always. After the traumatic rescue and emotional moments that followed, Akinmade and Tamalot finally returned home to the quiet comfort of their mansion. Tamalot held onto Akinmade's hand tightly, still shaken but grateful to be alive. But as they reached the hallway, Akinmade staggered. Tamalot stopped. Akinmade? He tried to steady himself, brushing it off. I'm fine. Just tired. But before she could respond, his knees buckled. He collapsed. Akinmade. She screamed, dropping beside him, cradling his head. His breathing was shallow, his body unusually cold. Panic flooded her chest. Help! Somebody help! She shouted through the mansion, her voice echoing with fear. The man who had saved her was now slipping, and she didn't know why. Akinmade lay unconscious on the large bed, his face pale and his breathing faint. Tamalot sat close, holding his hand tightly, her eyes red with tears. Lara stood by the window, arms folded, trying to keep herself from falling apart. Akinmade's siblings gathered around silently, their faces drawn with worrying. The doctor, an elderly man with trembling hands, packed his medical tools into a bag and turned to them. He's been poisoned, he said gravely. A rare kind. Very hard to cure. We're trying to gather the herbs and compounds needed, but if care isn't taken, He might not survive before we complete it. A stunned silence fell over the room. Tamalod's grip on Akinmade's hand tightened. No, he can't die. He saved me. Everyone stood still, fear hanging heavy in the air. Lara stepped out of Akinmade's room when her phone rang. Seeing Bisola's name, she hesitated, then answered. Lara, Bisola said coldly. I have the cure. The poison in Akinmade's system, I know what it is, and I have what can save him. Lara's heart raced. What do you want? Bisola's voice sharpened. He must marry me. That's the only way I'll hand it over. Lara clenched her jaw. You're insane. Bisola hung up. Later, Lara gathered Akinmade's siblings in the hallway and told them about Bisola's call. Shock flashed across their faces, but Wool stepped forward firmly. Don't give in, he said. Tell her we'd rather find another way. Akinmade would never agree to that. The others nodded in agreement. Lara gave a slow, tense nod, her worrying deepening. Tamalod sat by Akinmade's bedside, his hand in hers, tears streaming down her face. Please don't leave me, she whispered, her voice trembling. You promised to protect me, but I need you here with me. She closed her eyes, praying from the depths of her heart. As the tears touched his hand, a faint glow began to shimmer between their fingers. The room grew still, then a soft light spread from their joined hands, warm and pulsing. A bond awakened, ancient and powerful. Akinmade stirred. Tamalod gasped, clutching his hand tighter. Akinmade! His eyes slowly opened, weak but alive. She broke into quiet sobs, her heart racing. You're awake. He gave a faint smile, brushing her cheek. You called me back. Tamalod nodded, still crying, afraid of what just happened but deeply relieved. Bisola stormed into the living room, eyes wild with fury. He's awake. Her father looked up from the couch, confused. Who? Akinmade. She snapped, waving her phone in the air. He survived the poison. Her mother stood slowly, worry creasing her face. But how? That poison was rare. It should have. Bisola hurled the phone against the wall, shattering it. It was supposed to keep him down. He was weak. That girl Tamalod, she did something. I know it. Her father sighed heavily. You said you were in control of this. I was. Bisola seethed, pacing. Now he's back on his feet and the wedding is gone. Everything I planned is ruined. Her mother stepped forward. We can still fix this, but you need to calm down. Bisola stopped, eyes burning. No, if I can't have him, I'll make sure she loses everything. The Banjo family gathered in their estate, a tense air filling the room. Bisola paced back and forth, her frustration mounting as she thought about the events that led to this point. Her parents, Chief and Mrs. Banjo, stood silently, their faces hardened with determination. After what happened with Akinmade and that girl, Tamalod, Bisola said, her voice laced with venom. We can't let this go. We need to strike now, while they're vulnerable. Lanra, her brother, clenched his fists. We'll make them regret what they did to us. Akinmade has to pay, and so does the human. Chief Banjo nodded. We've lost enough. It's time to end this. We'll make sure the Awu family knows their place. Mrs. Banjo, her face set in a scowl, added, but where's Ola? His absence is concerning. He's left the city, Bisola muttered bitterly. The Awu clan raided his house. They don't play fair, but it doesn't matter. We'll handle it ourselves. Lamra stepped forward. The Awu family won't see this coming. Let's make sure they're wiped out completely. The Banjo family gathered their resources, their minds set on vengeance. With their plan in motion, they prepared to attack the Awu family at their mansion, intending to destroy everything Akinmade had built. Outside, the full moon illuminated the dark sky, mirroring the chaos that was about to unfold. The night was thick with tension as the Awu family unknowingly became the target of a brutal attack. Akinmade and his clan, strong and vigilant, fought fiercely, but the Banjo family had come prepared, determined to break the Awu legacy. Akinmade fought with all his might, his senses heightened, but his thoughts kept drifting to Tamalod, who was in the mansion. Unbeknownst to him, she had become the prime target of the Banjo family's assault. In the chaos, Lamra, with a fury that matched his sister's, engaged in battle with Akinmade's clan. The sounds of clashing bodies and growls filled the air. Amidst the confusion, Tamalod was caught off guard by one of the Banjo fighters, nearly struck down in a vicious blow. Akinmade's heart raced as he turned, sensing her peril. His rage flared, but the battle was far from over. He fought his way toward her, just in time to intercept another deadly strike aimed at her. "Tamalad!" he shouted, barely able to protect her from the onslaught. She was shaken, blooded, but alive barely. As the fight raged on, the Banjo family faltered. Lanra, in the heat of the battle, took a fatal blow and collapsed, lifeless, at the feet of the Awu clan. Basola, too, was injured, a deep gash across her side, as she attempted to escape the fray. The battle reached its climax as the Awu clan overwhelmed the remaining Banjo forces. Basola, wounded and furious, staggered away, while the once proud Banjo family was decisively defeated. Akinmade, though victorious, stood in the aftermath, his breath heavy as he rushed to Temalad's side, relief flooding him. "You're safe now," he whispered, pulling her close. The war between the two families was far from over, but tonight, the Awu family had triumphed at a great cost. After the brutal battle, Akinmade and Tamalad stood side by side, watching the remnants of the Banjo family be rounded up and taken away. Basola, battered and broken, had no choice but to leave the city with her parents, their power shattered. With a firm, unwavering voice, Akinmade declared, "You will never set foot here again. Leave and never return." The Banjo family was forced to leave the city, banished for their treachery. The remaining members of their clan were imprisoned, awaiting justice for their crimes. As the last of them were hauled away, Akinmade turned to Tamalad, a sense of relief washing over him. The threat was finally over. "I've done it," Akinmade said, a rare smile tugging at his lips. "The city is safe. You're safe." Tamalad, still shaken but grateful, gave him a small smile. "We've made it through this together." Akinmade looked around at the city, his family, and the people he had fought to protect. He was happy, truly happy for the first time in a long while. The weight of the battle was gone, and with Tamalad by his side, he knew that this was only the beginning of their journey. Tamalad sat on the bed, her hands trembling. Akinmade entered, sensing the tension immediately. "I need a divorce," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Akinmade's heart stopped. "Tamalad, no." "Why?" Tears filled her eyes. "I'm human, Akinmade. I bring danger and weakness into your life. You deserve better." He knelt before her, holding her hands tightly. "You're not a burden. I will protect you, always." She shook her head, pulling away. "I can't keep putting you at risk." Akinmade's voice broke. "Please stay." They sat in heavy silence, hearts breaking. Finally, seeing her resolve, he nodded, his chest hollow. "If this is what you truly want, I won't stop you." Tamalad packed quietly, tears falling. At the door, she turned back, voice shaking. "I'll always remember all the good times together." Then she left. Akinmade sat alone on the bed, the room cold and empty without her. Tamalad drove in silence, her chest tight with pain. Suddenly, a heavy thud on her car made her slam the brakes. She gasped as a huge wolf landed before her, Akinmade. In seconds, he shifted back into human form, rushing to her side. "Tamalad, please," he begged, gripping her hands. "Don't leave me. I need you." She shook her head, tears spilling. "I'm only bringing you trouble, Akinmade. I'm just human. I don't care," he said, voice breaking. "You're my heart, human or not." She tried to pull away, but he dropped to his knees, pleading. "I love you. Say." Tamalad sobbed, heart giving in. She knelt too, hugging him tightly. "No divorce," she whispered against his shoulder. Akinmade crushed her into his arms, relief flooding him. They stayed there, holding on to each other like the world could fall away and they wouldn't care. 7 months later, Akinmade and Tamalad celebrated her birthday in grand style, with both their families gathered in the mansion. The air was filled with joy as everyone mingled, enjoying the festivities. As the cake was cut and laughter echoed around the room, Tamalad stood up, a smile spreading across her face. She looked at Akinmade, who raised an eyebrow, curious about what she was of festivities. "I have something to share," she announced, her voice filled with excitement. Everyone grew quiet, eager to hear. Tamalad's hands gently rested on her stomach as she looked at Akinmade, her eyes shining with happiness. "I'm pregnant," she revealed softly, her heart pounding in her chest. A cheer erupted from both families, with smiles and congratulations filling the room. Akinmade pulled her into his arms, kissing her forehead, overwhelmed with joy. "You're going to be an amazing mother," he whispered, holding her close. Lara, Yemisi, and the rest of the family celebrated, the bond between them stronger than ever. It was a moment of pure happiness. A new chapter for Akinmade, Tamalad, and their growing family, the end.